Maneski Event Team.
Welcome to day 3 of ESL One Genting 2018, a professional Dota 2 minor tournament for some of the best teams in the world. 16 began, we've already trimmed the field after 2 days of competition in the group stages, and today we'll see even more teams leave, and 6 advance through to the playoffs as we head towards the Arena of Stars, some 6,000 feet up in the highlands of Genting for the final 3 days, in front of a packed crowd, no doubt, as well. Stars ahead of us, of course, and stars on the panel, as you'd expect from the Dota 2 world this morning. Gods and the Has have joined us for game number 1, and to review a very interesting day number 2. Although, gents, I have to say, and good morning to you both, Day 2 was a bit boring, frankly, in terms of the results. It was like, yeah, it's kind of predicted, we kind of got the top 4 we thought we'd get. The interesting fact, actually, is who goes through in third from both groups.
Yeah, well, it's ironic because we did, especially on day 1, had a great day doing it, and I thought the games yesterday were interesting. EG got a bit of a gut check, as we'll discuss.
But day 1 was so good, so you kind of go, I want that again, and then
exactly.
we didn't quite get that on day 2.
But at the end of 2 days, we've pretty much ended up exactly where we started, saying the top 4 teams, the top 2 in each group are pretty clear, and let's talk about third place.
Yeah.
But today is when we're going to get to decide those third places.
Yeah, God, there is an argument that someone said to me this morning. Why did you bother? Why didn't you just put the top 4 through to the quarterfinals and then play out the rest of the teams? That's actually a fair point, I suppose. But we weren't to know that was how it doesn't always pan out like that.
It doesn't always, but those 4 teams really do look untouchable from the other tier 2 teams, I guess, as we'll call them right now. They're on another level. They're just playing a lot better as a team individually, seem to understand the patch better. And, well, it is going to be the battle for third, so we'll see who'll sneak through.
Yeah, we're going to see some of the highlights from yesterday's play on the screen right now. Was there a bounty game yesterday, like we had on day 1 from Kaka? Was there a play like a 2v5 that we saw on day 1 from Virtus Pro? Was there anything like that stood out for you yesterday?
I don't know that.
This is why I'm disappointed, Alan. This is why I'm kind of like, damn.
I could totally see where you're coming from.
There was a Kura Meteor Hammer. That's
there was. He got 2 people in there. Yep. 2 in the middle of that.
And it actually won a fight. Yeah,
it did.
It was pretty big. I think this was kind of the biggest single development of the day, was that EG got a real wake up call in game 1, and they came back in games 2 and 3. Really picked that Bane in the first phase, and Misery, I thought, played a key role in those games that didn't really show up in the stats in locking down that enemy carry.
Highlights for you, day 2?
Yeah, I think some of the biggest plays were, unfortunately, on the off-stream games. There was a Tide Hunter who had a 14-man Ravage, had triple Ravage in one team fight. There was some crazy stuff happening there. Fnatic 70-minute game. That whole best of 3 they played towards the end of the day yesterday was absolutely fantastic. Yeah. So there were some great games.
We initially thought that was a 15-man Ravage, but I think the adjudicators have ruled it as a 14. Now. Not quite full 15.
East German judge, right?
Yeah. Removed a point in that one. In terms of third place, let's talk a little bit about, as we see a few more of these highlights. VGJ Thunder came through against Complexity. We haven't seen much of Complexity here, unfortunately. It's always sad for me. I'm a bit of a fanboy for them. All they've really done is 1-2-0 against Planet Dog. That's not enough for them, is it? No, and I think they've taken a little bit of a step back in the last couple of weeks. They've just moved into the new apartments in Dallas. They've looked pretty good, but last couple days, they lost a tough qualifier to Animal Planet, and their performance here, Chessie showed up with a little bit of an illness, and I think that might have affected them here. But I still think that they're a team that's on the rise. Okay. Fnatic Vici was the other one.
Yeah, Fnatic Vici.
That was a hell of a series.
Fnatic out of the tournament, but sure. It's one of those things I look at Fnatic, I feel like they played well this event. Yeah. They lost to Vici, who's one of the top 5 teams in terms of DPC points, and then they lost to Secret 2-0, but in a pretty close game. So I don't look at Fnatic like, oh, this is a disappointing result for them, but that's the nature. This is a minor, but with 16 teams, it feels like a major, and you've got to beat the best teams in the world to actually get into the top 4. Yeah, so, very tough. Blitz said to me yesterday, there's a clear difference between the top 3 teams in the world right now and the rest are nowhere. Do you feel like actually there's a tier 2 forming
in the middle of this now.
I think there's a pretty long queue, and there is a tier 2, but the problem is that the composition of that tier 2 depends on the day that you ask me.
One day EG's and another day they're not.
Right. And Newbie is the real puzzle too.
Fnatic are another team that could be in that tier, but sometimes up complexity, sometimes VGJ Thunder.
Because I'll even go a step farther though and say that Newbie, depending on the day, it's not a top 3, it's a top 4.
Yeah, I think it is a top 4. I think it's unfair to Newbie to say it's a top 3 right now that are the best. I think Newbie very much in the same pool.
If we get a chance, I will argue with you on that because I think Newbie, the results have not been there since TI for them. But I agree with you. Depending on the day, if Kaka is playing well and fully engaged in the game, I do think they can beat any of the top 3.
Okay, let's take a look at the brackets for you and bring it right up to date. After 2 days of play here at ESL One Genting, we've been playing through the group stages, which are dual tournament or double elimination format, whichever you prefer. This is Group A, Team Secret, straightforward for them, 1-0 over Planet Dog and 2-0 over Fnatic. They now play against Virtus Pro in that upper bracket final, just as we predicted, just as everyone thought they would. Virtus Pro also coming through impressively without dropping a single game so far. The lower bracket is where the interest is, as we said earlier on. Vici coming through a very narrow game against Fnatic, and frankly, a very narrow game against SG Esports as well in that lower bracket, so they've had a bit of a run, but they have somehow managed to fight their way through it. But they will be going up against their old teammates, their sister clan, and the team, frankly, who are in the most form right now and have played the most games in this particular part of the patch as well, VGJ Thunder. That's going to be tough, isn't it?
VGJ Thunder in really good form right now. You see a lot of match play, I think, to look at if you're in Vici Gaming shoes, but it goes both ways. They're sister teams, they know each other well, they know what they like to play. It does feel like VGJ Thunder are just in that better form, though.
Yeah. Okay, let's take a look at Group B and show you the brackets in Group B right now, because they also have had plenty of matches to play through. And again, it's also ended up pretty much how we expected it to. Team Liquid versus Newbie have both gone through without dropping a single game. So all of the 4 teams that we predicted at the start of the tournament to make the top 4, at least out of the group stages, have got there without dropping a single game. Again, the interest is in the lower bracket, however. Good performance by Penta, specifically in the first game against EG yesterday, but eventually going down to them. EG will now play TNC. That'll be one of our first games of the day. Mineski, LFY, we thought that might have been a bit closer, but LFY are just absolutely nowhere right now, and that went down very easily for them. I think they played a total of about 70 minutes of Dota 2 at this tournament. Na'Vi versus Mineski, another really big game for both of those teams. Again, gods, I guess on that verge of either sometimes they're tier 2, sometimes they're tier 3.
Yeah, I think particularly with teams like Na'Vi and Mineski, you say they've managed to finish top 2, top 3 at various events, but then they'll go into a qualifier for another one and get beaten by teams they've qualified over and beat to get to that previous event. So the consistency isn't there with the likes of Mineski, Na'Vi just yet, even though at least with Na'Vi, they're on the rise. I think Mineski's kind of had a bit of a dip since the start of the season. That's where they got top 2 in the first minors. Since then, it hasn't been the same kind of results.
Yeah, I don't think they've enjoyed this patch. I think the sooner that this 707 just disappears, the better for them.
Yeah, I think the patch is starting to kind of seem to work against them. Teams have figured them out, and it doesn't seem like Mineski are adapting all too well.
Yeah, and some of those teams are in their own region. That's the big difference, right?
They're starting to lose to Fnatic, TNC, and it doesn't really feel like they're on top of SEA like they once were.
Yeah, that's a tough region, isn't it? I mean, all the regions seem to be tough. They're all very competitive right now in their own way. Even South America, which often people overlook and think it's a weaker area, but competitively in that, there's at least 3 teams that are qualifying on a regular basis now. There's a fight to get through that region, and that's no different in any of the regions.
Yeah, I'm thanking goodness right now that I'm not having to coach a team that's playing in China, because
that's the worst one.
As far as like the DPC actual events, China hasn't necessarily been dominant, but I look at those Chinese qualifiers and getting through those is just, it's running a gauntlet.
Absolutely.
And a lot of the Western events will just have like the one Chinese slot, so you're all those top teams fighting it out. But
yeah, I love that. I love it though, because they usually fall on days where I'm actually at home, not traveling,
exactly.
and therefore I can watch a Chinese qualifier and feel like I'm actually watching a major, because there's so many teams in there. It's fantastic for the neutrals. Probably not quite so fantastic for you as if you're a fan of some of these teams, seeing the inconsistencies they've had over the last few months of the DPC. It does continue on. We're in round number 10. There are 23 total tournaments in this, and a lot of majors to come as well down the line, so plenty of points to play for. However, we are going to move on to day number 3 that shows you the schedule of what we've got coming up today right now. EG versus TNC will kick things off. We'll then have that sister clan battle once more. They've already played once here at ESL One Genting in the first round. VGJ Thunder coming out on top in that one, but it was a best of 1. We'll see how Vici fare in a best of 3, and we'll finish off with TBD versus TBD. Those clans appear in every tournament, and they always seem to get to the later rounds.
Very consistent.
I know, it's dad jokes, Alan. It's dad jokes.
That'll be
I'm going to get a few in, right?
I'm chuckling. Man, you're older than me because you're still calling them clans. I absolutely love it.
I know, I'm so old school. I did love the fact that someone yesterday said that it was nice that they put someone older than Red Eye on the panel with him. I'm actually just thrilled at that. That makes me a happy man. Are you okay?
You
there?
see what I deal with, guys.
Do we need to call a doctor? Are you okay? You coping?
I think my heart will make it through the event.
Good.
It is pretty hot and humid here.
Just double checking, making sure you're okay. Let's move on to our first game of the day and talk to you about the two teams. We'll start things off with Evil Geniuses. If there's one word that could wrap up where they are right now, it would be inconsistent.
Yeah,
for sure.
Since bringing in Misery as well as Coach Bulba, I felt like they were looking for some new direction, but it's taking time for the adjustments. Yeah. It doesn't seem like they know where they want to run their 3 cores. Sometimes we're seeing Fear mid, sometimes we're seeing him carry, sometimes we've seen him off lane. And the versatility is fantastic when you have players like these, but the problem is you still need a clear direction and at least some kind of a template for success. And it doesn't seem like EG have found that yet.
And while we focus a lot on the team identity when we talk about EG, it's also that the execution just hasn't been there on a consistent basis. Yeah. If you look at that game that they lost against Navi to open the tournament, those two lineups, basically the number one thing that EG needed to do to win that game was not walk into 3- and 4-man Chronospheres. And then they try to take a fight in the Roche pit when all 5 enemy heroes are alive.
They definitely kind of played into Navi's hands there. EG have been, and losing game to Penta, I think this is an EG squad that has a really high skill ceiling. Like going against TNC, I'm like, if EG play to their true potential, they're the better team. But if EG play like they played for the last week, maybe not.
Yeah, and doubly so, I think, here in this opening matchup against TNC. TNC is a team that made a couple of unforced errors, I think, in the drafts yesterday that we'll talk about. But if they can clean those up today, EG will need to execute consistently. TNC is a team that's capable of really punishing an opponent for the kind of mistakes that they made against Navi in Game 1 against Penta.
Yeah, they're very, very early game, mid-game snowbally, and that's where you can't get off to a slow start. If you go something a bit greedy, if your execution is poor in the laning stage, EG will get punished. We saw one crazy comeback at Galaxy Battles, but that's something I don't think you can fall back on and rely on if you're EG. You don't want to be in that position to begin with.
I want to talk about drafting for this team because on paper, this team should be one of the best, if not the best, in the entire pro circuit for drafting with the experience that they have on this team. They have Misery, they have Crit, they have Fear, and they have Bulba. They're 4 really smart guys who've all drafted, all done it well, and they haven't always had the best of drafts.
Yeah,
Why?
I think it's Misery is still in that feeling out phase where he's, as Gods was touching about, they don't have a clear identity in terms of where they're putting their cores and the lane configurations that they know that they're super confident they can execute with. I think we're still seeing Misery as a captain feel that out with this team. I think there have been a lot of his drafts that have been good ideas on paper that haven't necessarily worked out in the game. I expect that to improve a lot in the coming weeks.
Yeah, sure. I think that's a fair point. And also because he's playing with 4 guys he hasn't necessarily played with, at least for a while in some cases, and never before in other cases. But also, they've swapped roles, so he's got 2 big issues to deal with, as well as trying to feel out what do they work at in chemistry-wise.
It's very much, as we talk about draft with EG, it doesn't really feel like draft is the deciding factor.
Exactly.
It's how they decide to play and use their players and resources.
I mean, Penta, first game, they had a better draft than Penta did, but they lost. Yeah. Second game, they had a worse draft than Penta did, but they won.
Yeah, they could have brought in Misery Bulba to coach the team with the old roster when Universe was still on it, and it'd be very easy to draft for them. Misery could draft for that team as a coach or whatever, and it'd be fine. You know what to do. You know how this unit of 5 players works. He's been taken out, and it's suddenly like chaos. What do we do? How do we utilize these 5 players to win a Dota game? It just seems like EG haven't answered that question yet.
And this is an issue for both of these teams, that this is a particular patch that really rewards a more even farm distribution, especially between your top 2, if not your top 3 cores, and you really get punished for either one person being too far out ahead if it's not a stop, or one of your cores like the Fear Dragon Knight yesterday in the first game, faring too far behind and not having a plan to get him back in the game.
Let's move on to TNC. You can see the lineup on your team. It's a team that we're very familiar with now. Also includes an old friend of ours who's spent many time on the desk previous events, of course, Teban, in this particular team. How do you feel he's slotted into this team?
I felt like it was a very good fit when he went over there, and I felt like it still is. The concern that I have for TNC is I feel like looking at their results over the last few months that they've stagnated a bit. This is a group that I feel like expectations should actually be fairly high for. This is a trio of cores that finished top 8 at a TI that have experience on that international stage, and I haven't necessarily seen the kind of steady improvement from the team that I would have liked to see over the last few months. Especially like you look at the drafts yesterday. I mean, that's 2 pretty clear unforced drafting errors, leaving the Omni Knight on the table in game 1 against a Death Prophet and Terrorblade on your side, leaving I won't say leaving the Enigma on the table, but not having a way to stop the Black Hole from the Enigma other than the Chronosphere from a Core Void, who in that second game, Misery's Bane, all 4 Fiend's Grips were on that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was they also...
Oh, sorry, that was the Penta series against Oliver. Sorry about that.
But it's fine. But in terms of picks yesterday, they also picked in 2 counters.
Yeah.
And they did that in both games as well.
It was really... And so Sam H, they tried 2 different things with Sam H, where in the first game, he had a Bat Rider, but he couldn't get the lasso onto the Omni Knight or the Tinker in the key fights. And in the second game, they locked down his Darkseer very early, but it felt like that got heavily countered, as you were saying, for the rest of the draft.
God's just overall, as our SEA fanboy, what is your assessment of TNC? Where are they right now in the region?
I think they're very solid. They're a bit unstable with some of their results in play. And I think draft-wise, they're one of the teams. Talk a lot about teams, how you want to draft and play your game. They stick to that maybe too much, which is where they did, like we say, they fell into those kind of maybe drafting areas where they had these heroes that suited them, but they weren't looking at what's on the other side of the field from them. So I think it's the right mentality, but you still have to obviously sometimes fit in the right counter pick or be prepared for something your opponents are doing.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to get more from both of you in just a moment. We'll head towards a break very shortly, but don't forget, all the social media angles are yours to let us know your thoughts on day number 3 as we head into the day. Who's the favourites? Who's going to go through in third place? Who's going to make the semi-finals directly, because the winners of the winners bracket matches do that. Make sure you're using the hashtag #ESL1 as well. As I said, we are headed towards a break. When we come back, we'll head into our first match, our first draft of the day, EG versus TNC. I'm sure there's plenty from both regions cheering on their teams for the final place in the group to make the playoffs. We'll see you soon.
Me too. I want to get in there.
Wow.
You dead? Yeah, I'm dead.
Never, dude.
Dude, look at that macro pyre, dude. Oh my god.
Game, record, and stream without compromise on Intel Core i7.
As you get older, life becomes all about following a few simple rules. Dress proper. Get a real job. Spend time with family. Dance to the beat of your own drum. Work hard. Get married. Move to the suburbs. Start a family. Be humble. Time to grow up.
ESL One Genting is brought to you in part by Intel, Resort World Genting, Mercedes-Benz, MSI, Acer Predator, Logitech G, and Mineski Event Team.
Welcome back to ESL One Genting 2018, day number 3 of 6 intense days of Dota 2 action. Many people said to me, this is a great major so far, really enjoying it. Newsflash, not a major, although it feels like a major because we've got 16 teams, a great big prize pool, and plenty of the best teams in the world. In fact, 9 of the top 10 DPC teams are right here in Genting, playing for their place in the top 6. We've got 4, we already know those teams. The other teams in the bottom brackets are now trying to fight their way through. Next up, the first draft of the day between EG and TNC. It's a big draft for both teams and a big match for both of them as well as they try and make their way through. As the third team coming out of their group. Nahaz and Gods are both here to break down the first draft. What are you expecting?
Bane.
Bane.
I think Bane is such a key hero for this series. 10-2 is TNC with that hero in this patch, and big picks of that hero.
Tusk too.
Tusk has been...
Tusk for EG.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, right?
Maybe, yeah.
It's a crit hero,
actually,
it's popular, it's
actually
good.
Warlock for EG. Misery's been sick on Warlock since he joined 4-0 already.
Oh, it's more. That's like the backup.
Okay,
campaign,
all right. Here
this
we go.
was my big question. Is like, do you give Chen away? So, So I think the must-ban heroes against EG was very much Fear's Lycan. The 2 wins yesterday. It felt like EG's lost. What do we do? Let's put Fear in the Lycan and have this tricolor lineup. I think that's a more important ban than the actual Chen modes. We haven't actually seen EG play with Chen. Like, everyone's been banning against them, maybe from scrims, whatever it may be, but it doesn't really feel like the results are there. It's a best of 3. You lose to it. You've got game 2. Ban it out and say, look, we shouldn't have given them Chen. That was a mistake. Yeah. But right now, make EG show you what they can do on Chen.
I mean, you're right. They just don't really play with Chen when you look through crits. Yep. Top 8, Misery's top 8. It doesn't appear in either.
Oh, man. So this is Clock SF, by far the best duo so far in 707D. 48 and 30 are these two heroes. Both of them decent individually, but nowhere near that kind of a win rate.
Teeman's been doing some homework.
Yeah, and SF probably Cuckoo's best hero in this patch as well. 10 and 3.
This is TNC going back to what used to work for them. I think they've been kind of not that great lately. They've been a bit slumping, losing to teams they shouldn't. They had a very bad run at Galaxy Battles, not finishing in the top 3. So going back to what worked in past qualifiers with Clock SF and Tusk for EG. This is exactly what you expect from these teams for an opening.
Yeah, the one thing I'll flag for TNC as we go along in the draft, though, is that again, when we talk about farm distribution, I've seen SF lose some games where he's gotten off to a fast start and his other cores fallen behind, and it's going to be important for them to get Raven on a hero that he can farm up with as well, because SF is definitely a hero that's vulnerable to being focused down later in the game.
The really tough spot for EG right now is their supports aren't great lane secures, and that's something TNC can punish. You have this SF mid who's going to have a soul's damage advantage over whatever he's against. I think you want to ban Death Prophet because of how strong it pairs up with the Tusk, but Chen doesn't really secure the lanes early on. Off lane, you go send a few creeps back to base and get your off laner a bit of extra farm and waves at his tower, but there's a Death Prophet ban. All in all, this is lanes that TNC can punish.
Yeah, I'm actually pretty surprised. So the Death Prophet ban comes out as you expected. The Earth Spirit, though, still on the table, and that's something that TNC can pick up to counter some of that roaming.
They won't pick it with Clock. They will,
that's right. Because
they've already got
their Clock is a 4 for both them and Mineski. That's right.
I mean, the theory SamH could play the Clock. No, actually,
SamH actually does play. He's a decent Clock player.
It's unlikely, I'd say. Tim's much more likely to play the Clock, and if it's off lane, Earth Spirit, Sand King is another go-to for them. So. There is that small chance, it is an offlane.
But you are actually right. Like Tims and Jabs have clearly. I'm not sure which one learned from the other, but the way that they play Clock is actually quite similar. And for a period of time in the last patch, they were like the only 2 players in the world that were having sustained success on that hero.
Yep. I was just looking at the 5 bans from TNC. They tell us a lot about what they fear from EG. I mean, those 5 bans are really big heroes right now in the meta. Lycan, Bane,
Yeah.
TB, Puck, and DP.
I think the biggest selling thing is they're targeting the players who have shown a limited hero.
Yes.
Fear has been playing Lycan and DP exclusively. TB has been just an EG go-to for RTZ as well. That and the PL, which EG have to ban because TNC play PL more than anyone. So targeting the small hero pools of players is always like a really good way to use your bans.
Yeah, definitely good homework from Steven, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't realize this. DP is, I believe, DP and Lycan, I think, are the only cores that Fear has multiple appearances on in this patch.
Yeah, looking at the last couple of tournaments EG have played, that's almost all his major games, and a lot of EG's wins were, I think, only on these heroes, if anything.
Witch Doctor banned a little unusual. Witch Doctor is actually only 1 in 10
against
so far
Chen
in this tournament.
Yeah, that's.
Against Chen,
I look at support 5-position win rates is not really tied too much to the strength of the hero, is how I see that, because you're 5-position. You can't influence the game. Like
I don't know. We'll see. I guess
I
got some counter examples.
Let me look at the teams. Tell me which teams pitch Witch Doctor, and you'll instantly they'll be like, well, yeah, Cole picked Witch Doctor. You know, Planet Dog picked Witch Doctor. That is end of the day, like.
So what's the correlation, Alan? Is it that trash teams pick Witch Doctor, or is it that good teams pick trash heroes? Which way around?
I'm being totally baited here with the Cole flame. A lot of this.
No, I remember looking at Witch Doctor. I was looking through the win rates. I saw Witch Doctor with 1 win, 10 losses. I was like, let's take a look at this, and then they take more.
There's the Warlock for TNC. That's actually that's a great block pick,
yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Actually,
well,
EG already has the two. Well,
it isn't right now because of the fact that they've got the Chen and the Tusk, but it ordinarily would be because that's what Misery's
not
been
a block
playing
pick, just very good support. It's a lane secure. So we talked about EG. You've got weak lanes. You want to try and punish and win the laning stage. Warlock, very good for doing that. You can send him off lane to help out an off lane with heal. It's also great just counter initiator for a hero.
If EG hasn't got 2 supports already, then it would be a block pick, wouldn't it?
Yes, yeah, that's what he's saying. Yes.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. I think Warlock is a support that if he can play in the backlines, if the enemy team doesn't have any mobile hero that can get to the backlines and play in his face, Warlock is amazing. If the enemy team has a Storm Spirit, Warlock can very easily be garbage. And so Viper, not the pick I expected.
Yeah, Liquid have played a lot of this and played a lot of it yesterday, and people are like, oh, okay, well, if Liquid are playing it, must be good.
No, again, here's a win rate set for you guys that is completely a composition effect. Viper is 5-0 in the tournament, and that's all about the teams that have picked
Same way Witch Doctor's 1 in 10.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know about that last one.
But yeah, Viper is most likely the fear. I think it's like, well, what's the core that we can kind of sacrifice here? The Lycan and the Death Prophet's gone. Those aren't really heroes you sacrifice, but EG definitely play them with lower farm priority. So I think EG look at what teams like Liquid are doing with Matu. They're like, we want Fear to play the same role that Matu does on Liquid, or No Tail does on OG.
Yep.
Viper is a good fit for that role.
Yep. And the Bat is something that we've seen EG play a lot.
Well, Sam H is one of the top Bat Rider players, I think, in the world.
I think TNC a team that almost always are picking like what they think strong for themselves. They rarely look to kind of counter-pick as much as other teams do.
It also means that clock is definitely Tim's now.
Yep.
Yes, of course. But TNC has actually had multiple games where the Sam H Bat Rider has been the net worth leader at like the 15 to 20 minute mark. He is explosive on this hero.
I'm most interested to see Raven and Arteezy's heroes because the bans have all been on their most played heroes, the Terrorblade, the PL, even to some extent the Tiny, you could say. So their hero pool left for the carry role is very limited right now. We may see some like Luna-esque heroes, but EG can't run a Luna very easily because you've got Tusk Chen support. Gyro works well, I think, particularly for a team like TNC. So we'll see what EG get because the carry has to be able to kind of function a bit on his own. Medusa maybe for EG. Very boring with Medusa Viper, but
effective.
Yeah.
They have not run that a lot since they ran that a lot when Sumail was still the primary mid. They have not run the Medusa a lot, only once since they made the role swap. Here's probably Sumail's best offlane hero in the Abaddon.
Really? Why do you think that?
That was just something I got told by a lot of the pros when he announced that he'd been spamming that a lot in pubs, that his Abaddon was pretty highly regarded. When they announced that role swap, I have not seen that much of his Abaddon myself.
I've seen it, once, and it was really bad.
Yeah.
He won the game with Galaxy Battles, but he died like 5 times in 10 minutes. So.
It's his 4th most picked since he moved to the offlane.
Yep.
Okay. Well, now we see the carries, which is the small hero pool left. EG, I'm just like looking at their draft like this looks bad. They have no initiator, they have no team fight, they have
Interesting.
push, but I just think EG's draft right now does very little.
Razor
TNC's is so much more work.
Razor is still on the table for TNC, and that's Raven's most picked hero on the patch, and you've got 2 cores in Viper and Abaddon that like to be up on those front lines and vulnerable to the static link.
TNC ban of the void, say, look, you guys have no team fight.
Yeah.
Like,
Is the OD
I'm not,
still there?
I gotta say, guys, I'm gonna be frank. I'm not a big fan of these first 4 picks from EG.
EG's draft looks very questionable right now. They can still pull it together. You know, you've got a carry, you've got an Arteezy hero. We've seen him 1v9 games over the last few weeks. Lifestealer.
That's definitely not a 1v9 hero.
And TNC will likely pick some kind of core that can match up well.
Yeah, well, the big thing about the big benefit of the Lifestealer is it's a heavy laning counter to the Batrider. If Batrider ends up in a lane against the Lifestealer, Batrider's in a great deal of trouble. But I look at the TNC. I think TNC has enough wiggle room with the 4 heroes that already have and the 5th pick still to come that they can switch up the lanes, and especially with the Weaver here. Boy, I like this TNC draft.
Yeah,
I really do.
TNC look on paper to have a much stronger draft. Weaver doesn't care about Chen ganks, doesn't great against the Lifestealer. Not sure what
I'm not sure Teben's got a left hand left after that high five. Is that his keyboard hand or his mouse hand? I can't remember.
Seriously though, if I'm on TNC, I'm high fiving Theben pretty hard.
Yeah, exactly. I think every TNC player goes to look at this draft and be like, what did EG just pick?
Yeah.
This is obviously EG have a good understanding and they know what they're trying to do, but this is a completely unconventional draft. It does on paper it does fall short in so many areas.
Okay, well I'm going to give you some extra added information before you make your decision on who's going to win the opening game. Yesterday, EG had a terrible draft in Game 2 but won it. Had a brilliant draft in Game 1 but lost it. If they've had a terrible draft here, surely they win Game 1.
I don't know if it's terrible. I don't know if it's as much terrible as it is. I suspect that EG might do something with the lanes that we're not anticipating. I think this is an early game draft from EG, and I think a lot's going to come down to how they attack TNC.
Okay, very quickly in one word. Which way?
TNC.
TNC, both of you. I like that. Very decisive we are this morning here on the panel. Both of our members of the panel have gone for TNC. Let's see how they get on in Game 1 against Evil Geniuses.
That's right, TNC versus Evil Geniuses. An interesting matchup for sure, and we have an interesting draft as well, with Evil Geniuses opting to take the early game. It makes me think, like, way back in the day, Evil Geniuses was supposed to be the team that, we could outplay you, so we'll always get better late game, right?
We gotta learn that lower bracket, that whole story, waiting until the last possible chance to win. And now look at this. What is this?
And now we've got EG on their first game of the day, opting for a lineup that definitely has to go well for the early game.
And, everyone kind of talking about Sumail, moving to the offlane, what we're looking for, the 1v1s, the playmaking heroes, been enjoying the pucks, been enjoying the Batrider. Abaddon, maybe not the biggest playmaker, one could say. But
I know, but I know he likes Abaddon, though.
Yes.
He really does like Abaddon. I was having a conversation with him about offlane, and he was talking about how he was like, I just pick up Abaddon every one of these pubs, and I just go and run down my lane repeatedly over and over. I die a few times. Who cares? I pick up drums. I pick up some other team fight, pick up like the Solar Crest or something, and then I just 5-man with my team, and we win.
Very big enabler. And assumingly, I guess Fear will probably get the Helm of the Dominator as well, and then you get something on Sumail like those drums you were mentioning, and we're just like, we're ready to go. Like, let's kick things off, get some stuff done, see if Misery can make some good rotations. I like this Chen answer too when you're dealing with the clock SF as well. You certainly want to like pressure him early, try and get some kills.
Sure.
So if you can get in there, get a couple kills early on, take away that advantage he gets from the souls, that would be great. As Misery begins doing the great thing that all Chen players do.
Yeah, what do you don't have to offlane pull anymore.
It's great.
Your Chen sends back the first 3 creeps of the lane. You get pretty much a free lane off of this.
And they could even ice shards mid too if they wanted to.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. They can really turn this into a serious lane domination. In fact, you can see they've got one creep way far forward, so the creep wave is going to push into them, even if the first wave is going to be up on the hill. Cuckoo's got to take good advantage of that as best as possible. He's already got the extra souls from the Clockwork Cogs. Let's see if he can complete this full run of CS.
I didn't even realize that neither Crit nor Misery had ever played Chen for EG. Thank you, the illustrious Knoxville.
I like that we're able to get some stats back. Tims, that is pretty good catch there with the Cogs. They're going to be able to bump him back, and all the damage that Cuckoo's dealing with those souls that he picked up nice and early. Managed to threaten the opposing support. That being said, our Viper does manage to get a good damage back into the Shadow Fiend. I'm imagining this is going to be a lane that EG should be able to get a bit of an advantage on, but they have to take that advantage early, and this is what the Clockwork's doing, right? Securing that lane to make sure they don't get overrun by the Tusk Viper. And SF gets that level 5 where you can just two-shot creep waves.
Tusk already scary enough on his own as he rolls in just for some more harassment. They've actually gotten a lot of damage down to Cuckoo.
And it's going to be Cuckoo down already. The rotation coming out looks like, I think they did a snowball grab on the Satyr. And that's one of the big advantages of Tusk Chen, right?
Yeah, very nice. I mean, easily just send that thing mid, get some damage on the Cuckoo, and it's like, yeah, it's one kill in the enemy mid laner, but it's those souls. I mean, that's why you basically do this whole clock SF thing. And now he's lost that advantage. Now he's in that bad matchup with it being down the kill up against the Viper, and Tusk is by far more effective in the mid lane, too, so you kind of know he's always going to wind up there. But we certainly haven't talked too much about the side of TNC. Raven playing on the Weaver this game. I like to think of Raven as this like just kind of crazy, like super hard carry kind of a player. You know, those TB games, that's where I feel like he really shines. So it'd be interesting to see if he kind of gets that same thing going here with the Weaver. Somebody who tends to be maybe a little bit slower to farm.
And he is playing a hero that definitely is able to outplay, right?
Yep.
It's like a high skill ceiling hero, that Weaver. And he does have a pretty good matchup. I mean, he's just facing up against an Abaddon. I can only imagine that that is going to be a decent lane for him, especially as time goes on. It's probably a little bit difficult in the first 1 or 2 levels when Abaddon has such a strong attack damage.
Yeah, and lane matchups, definitely the big story near the end of this draft as well, especially whenever the Batrider is going to come out. EG, I didn't particularly enjoy the Lifestealer just because look what you're playing up against. You've got yourself the Warlock Ultimate, you've got Clockwork Hook, you've got Batrider in general, but they had to have people that can deal with the lanes of the Batrider. You have to be able to handle that sticking Napalm, so Lifestealer can do his own thing with the Rage, as Crit picks up another one there mid on Cuckoo, and Sumail would then have the Aphotic Shield, so there wasn't an option for Samh to just run somebody over this game.
I mean, if they actually manage to keep this SF, Raven may be a great player, but the Weaver itself is not going to come online terribly strong at 20 minutes if their SF is looking pretty lackluster. So I could see EG's kind of game plan here is if they can keep the SF down, they can roll into that mid-game period and really take it to TNC, and they won't be able to fight back too well.
Yeah, wave clear also doesn't look that great for TNC either in terms of like that early push and pressure. The best thing they're going to have is like flares, honestly. And even at that point, Tim's probably won't have the levels into the rockets quite yet.
They won't really have a good option when it comes to Batrider initiation. I don't know. I'm kind of feeling, I know the panel was not too optimistic about EG's draft, but I kind of like it. I like the opening of Gen Tusk in particular. It feels like that is a great support opening.
Yeah, and when we've gotten to see that pressure be successful on the SF. I mean, that's such a huge keystone of this entire draft for EG. And since now we're luckily 4 minutes into the game, we can see it's been going quite well for them. It gives you a much better opportunity to kind of see this be successful. As Crit not able to find any sort of a snowball target. He's going to try and just wait it out.
There he goes. He's going to take a lot of damage, though, and should end up going down. A little bit surprised that he didn't try and snowball.
It's like worst case scenario, too. Like now he just gives the kill to the SF.
Goes right back in it. Whoops, 17. Ignore those denies, obviously. 27 denies. They're going to go in deep for Viper here. Crit's already here, hoping to be able to get the counter kill onto Cuckoo. There is a heal coming out from 1437, but it's not going to be enough to save the SF underneath that tower. Tim's also takes a good amount of damage, but in the end, it is a mid-exchange here. Which I kind of feeling like benefits TNC. Maybe it doesn't, just because you end up losing the souls, but I guess in my mind, if you're trading back and forth, in this mid lane, I think you're feeling okay for TNC. Yeah,
keeping things even. Don't let them get into sort of like a big snowball lead, and then from there, that's when TNC is going to try and kind of delay this game out a little bit, play it a bit later, and everything just looks better. The core counters, I'd say, favor the side of TNC as we move in that mid-late game.
TP out from Samh, but he is just TPing to his tower. He's not TPing all the way back, so it's not like he's forced entirely out of this game. So we're actually pretty even on CS between our two mid laners, which is a good sign because the SF, it's a good sign for TNC. The SF can just start exploding and farm once he starts getting those higher level raises, plays off neutrals.
Yep.
Locked in Tim's here is not feeling too happy about his position. It looks like he is going to go down. Another pickup, a 2,000 gold lead right now for Evil Geniuses at just 5.5 minutes in, but that could be turned around here. Sumail is going to be slowed down. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to get out of this one. He does have wand charges, looking to be able to get on top of the shrine, picks up the shrine ever so barely.
Careful.
Managed to get off the Aphotic Shield before Raven could touch him with that Shikuchi, and now he's got the lane advantage. The Weaver is going to have to go back and activate his own shrine.
And Sumail also, well, he's thinking about going for that bottle, too, to try and like, control up that area, but certainly going to be a difficult thing up against the Weaver, as well as even just like the Warlock hanging around, so I'm not sure if he'll wind up opting for that in the end. But we have amounted to a 2K lead here for EG, and with this much free space, yeah, I'm curious to see what Sumail does, if he feels like he can make those rotations, because somebody needs to go into that jungle and try and deal with this SF, because there's obviously this fallback plan for Cuckoo, and it gives Crit a nice place to go once the mid opens up. Misery as well, of course, going to be scouting it out with the creeps too. But I'm not sure how active Arteezy will be able to be. That's probably been like the big question mark, I guess, for a lot of EG's games lately, is how involved he can get in the early game.
Sumail does have his ultimate. Ooh, that's unfortunate. Actually pops there right before he can get off the Aphotic Shield. So that's going to be on cooldown now with the mid lane. Crit is going to pop that snowball, trying to slow down this clock. Work out. Viper actually gets pushed a little bit. That's unfortunate. Crit needed that extra help, but it looks like the dive at bottom lane does manage to pick up the kill onto Sumail. Tick, tick, tick. Tim's barely lives through that one. It looks like Cuckoo is also going to barely live through that poison. Just not quite enough gas in the tank there for Evil Geniuses to pick up either one of those kills.
He's completely trading blows in the mid. Hasn't even picked up his boots yet. They're just now on the way, just kind of standing his ground, trying to fire back with those raises. I don't know, 2, 3, and 0. Considering the pressure, probably call that fairly well, I guess, for a lane, but it'll all be about that recovery time. But if you want to retreat to the jungle, we will head straight for your structures. And the army is here from Misery. I see a catapult there as well, stolen from the Dire.
He's spotted out by the ward. Evil Geniuses placed that one to see a rotation like this, to see that SF when he comes back. Now they do have Raven here, so they can see if they can get a support kill, but Chen is actually sent back. The Tusk, he's hiding in the snowball. He's going to have just a split second here before he gets sent back, it looks like, or not. Did he actually get sent back?
No, I guess he
I don't think he did.
He didn't get it.
I didn't see the buff on him when he came out of snowball.
Almost had him. But alas. So still a 3K lead, so they lose Crit, but they force a lot of rotations. I guess just under 3K now at this point. And that tier 1 tower now suffering down to just below half HP. So SF showing in the bottom lane. Curious to see just how long it takes EG to run right back mid, because it certainly feels like the main focus for them. They've already gotten that top tower.
Oh, look at this positioning. Can they actually go for it? Arteezy is actually going to TP out, but they're already going on to mid lane. 1437 being dove deep behind the tier 1 tower, and there's nobody from TNC to stop it. So it looks like they are going to be able to take control of this mid area, take that tier 1 tower. TNC is just not going to be able to rotate back to protect it. And that is a bit unfortunate. Evil Genius is really taking the timing here to make sure they take some of these outer towers, and that opens up the jungle, in which case we were talking about, right? That's where the SF really flourishes. In that 10 to 15 minute marker, he starts really farming out of control, and that can easily be shut down with Evil Genius's presence on the map.
I feel like TNC are in real trouble at this point. I'm looking towards, like, what hero do I want to try and bring us back into this game if I'm TNC, and it's probably going to be my Batrider, but he didn't get any assistance top. The Clockwork had to play mid the whole time with the Shadow Fiend. The Warlock was playing bottom with the Weaver, and so now SamH is on recovery time. This is a nice stack to find, because he needs these kind of plays. He can't really afford to go drums, I don't think, first, so he's stuck kind of going for that instant Blink Dagger, and you have to have that, like, perfect execution to make these plays work to try and get back. I mean, you're looking for, like, lasso into, like, triple raises or something to try and bring yourself back into it.
And you gotta maybe target, I don't know, do you think he's gonna have to target the Abaddon?
Yeah,
but you can't blow up that hero, but at the same time you target someone else. I really like the idea of him just going straight for the Blink Dagger, though. That feels necessary, considering the fact that just running in and lassoing is gonna make it easy for Sumail to go for the counter.
He's in trouble.
AMH.
I'm gonna let him go. I guess they just assumed he would have TP'd instantly or something, but the creeps are following him around there now, and they really just don't care.
I mean, you just waste so much time trying to chase a hero that at the end of the day could probably just sit up on a cliff and TP out. Arteezy, not going to be hit by any of those bugs. I like the fact that Raven's also trying to be pretty active, just trying to make up for the fact that he knows Evil Genius is going to be trying to shut them down nice and early, and he's got to be a little less farm, a little more fight. 1437 blocked in by the beautiful Ice Shards of Crit. That'll be another kill for Evil Genius's 7-4.
It's nice the way that Raven's playing up top, too. No one else can go up there and farm right now. There's no TP locations nearby. You can't really send this Batrider or the Shadow Fiend. Batrider could probably get away with it, I guess, but SF certainly not. It's just much safer for Raven compared to anyone else.
Raven. It's going to challenge these creeps. It's going to get a couple Hellbear smashed. But this is the beauty of the Weaver, and it was a really great last pick Weaver, right? It counters the Life Stealer. It's one of the classic counters to that hero. There's not hardly any control whatsoever for the Weaver. So this game drifts a little bit too long, and Weaver kind of made just auto
They know
the
they're
game,
coming
right?
here. They moved through a ward before they smoked, and so I think he was trying to block the hooks.
They're going to be able to get the cogs, keeping RTZ inside of that one as long as possible. They're also going to drop the golem here to be able to slow down Misery, see if they can get that kill. Nice turnaround with the ensnare. RTZ is going to try and get that kill. The TP's out. Mass TP's. Cuckoo's not going to make it, though.
Yeah, very nice aggressive warding from EG to kind of spot that rotation flank there. I mean, when there's an SF and a Clockwork just like running into their own jungle, even though they didn't see the smoke, they definitely understood. There's a Clock level 6 with an Arcane Rune, and they have to get back into this game. You know, he's going to try and make a play, and SF's the only one who really has the damage to make that happen right now in a burst that is going to work near a shrine, but this looks familiar.
Good courier scouting.
He just keeps finding himself in these ice shards, man. Crit has been just unbelievable on Tusk over the past, like, 2 tournaments, obviously, with Galaxy Battles, and then even the games I've seen with him here. Looks so good on the heroes, especially in that first 12 minutes when it really matters. But Sumail down bottom.
Yeah, he's going to be forced to pop the ultimate. Now, fortunately, he's going to get back to full HP here, but it won't matter if he's taking too much sticky napalm and is still underneath that Firefly. Sam H, he's going to be able to close that distance and starts getting some damage. Look at Sumail pop of the drums, just getting that extra bit of movement speed to stay ahead of Sam H, and it looks like it's going to be enough. Good block out from Crit to make sure that Sumail is able to escape to safety.
A little bit of space, but considering the speed at which EG took their lead, at least for positives for TNC, they're not exploding at any sort of like a big pace right now, staying relatively level considering the situation, but we're probably building up into that round of items for EG where they're going to make that push into the tier 2s.
Ooh, double damage. That's going to hurt. Fear is going to be chased underneath the tower. Chen is going to give him the heal, but Raven's going to go for the dive and then pop that time lapse back to full HP with him.
Oh, nice grab, too. And he's not going to get much tankier either. We were talking about the idea of maybe the Helm of the Dominator or something the Law Vipers pick up, but we are up against that Clockwork. So it's Fear who's been chosen to purchase that Force Staff.
Sam H. Tempted run down here from Crit, and his Firefly runs out. That puts him in a nasty position. He has a TP scroll, but Crit also has a big bad fist that can go ahead and stop him at any moment. So Sam H is going to try and TP out. Another kill for Sumail. He, greedy as he is, goes to 4-4-1 build and picks up the last hit with his Q.
And starts thinking about Radiance.
Yeah.
So.
I expected him to actually be a lot more active in rotating into mid. I thought it was going to be necessary for him to actually be joining Evil Geniuses when they went for that mid push and such, but he's just chilled out in that bottom lane, and he is very rapidly turning into kind of in a carry Abaddon here. With 5,600 net worth right now, RTZ is going to be picked up by Bugs, but he does have Infest.
Tim's is waiting for that Rage TP.
Yep. So instead it's going to be the Infest now. They got to kill that creep somehow. See if they can deny their own. Then RTZ is going to be forced to pop out, and that is when Tims will strike. RTZ is forced to pop out now, gets him inside the cogs. RTZ now has to just man fight, look to get the kill onto Tims before he ends up dying. Magic Wand buys him a little bit more time, slowed down, and that's going to be enough. He gets it far enough away from Tims, and he now has to turn on 1437, but it's too much for him to handle. RTZ goes down again.
Crit's here to try cleanup, but
yeah, they're a bit too late to this one.
Yeah, not enough friends around him. Oh, Misery certainly had that impact in the mid lane right at the beginning of the game. But other than that, I guess it's hard to tell how much vision he's providing in terms of like the creeps running around and everything. But aside from that, like tier 1 top and tier 1 mid, we haven't really seen that extra push coming in. EG not really feeling that pressure, maybe feeling like that next round of items again is just too important. The Force Staff is done on Fear, so that's going to help a lot in terms of how they want to fight around those structures. And I wouldn't mind seeing them try and pressure bot a little bit more though. Feels like they're giving away quite a bit to the side of TNC.
And TNC hasn't, considering the fact we were looking at like a 2,000 gold lead by 5 minutes, now it's only 4,000 at 15. It seems like TNC is kind of stabilized and isn't bleeding out too much. They're getting some counter kills. They've gotten a kill on RTZ recently, very important.
And now we can, like, we're at that part of the game where you can think more about, like, Roche and stuff, too, as being actual possibilities as the minutes start to go by. Those are those new options that open up for you to try and get back in the game. They're trying another aggressive play here.
Crit's going to be the one who pops a smoke here. He's got Snowball to buy himself time, and he does have his full team here. Sumail's actually going to be able to jump in here. They actually quickly turn on to Fear. They're going to try and kill that Viper instead. SF lets loose the ultimate. They're also low, and they're in a perfect position for raises, but one of them is Sumail. He's got his ultimate activated, look to be able to put pressure on Cuckoo, but again, the Warlock is slowing everybody down so much they couldn't actually go for that kill, so Cuckoo is able to TP out, and instead, they're going to try and lock down and finish off 1437. So they lost support for support there. A lot better for Evil Geniuses than it looked initially. TNC considering that was a 4-man smoke gank, I do not think that they're very happy with the way that fight went.
Yeah, support for support, not a big deal. They got a little bit more gold out of it just because they're behind.
What is this? What is this dive behind tower here? I saw Arteezy just roll up behind the tier 2, but we're trying to threaten a Weaver. That's certainly not going to work.
Yeah, this is kind of what we're looking for though from Misery, where he's got that catapult now from the last siege wave. Trying to hope everyone will group up and make something happen, but the shrine's nearby. They will pop it now at the very least just for Raven, so that helps out a lot for this next engagement if they can take it before that's back up.
And Raven, he's got that level 10, he's got the stat items, so this is where Weaver starts coming online as a bit of a damage dealer, a bit of a threat in some of these skirmishes.
Man, Sam H has caught up a lot though. He's gotten all the space down bottom. He just let the siege wave take the tower as well.
Okay, we're going to control him pretty well. Good Centaur stomp. See if they can actually get him. But now the time lapse. They just don't have enough hard lockdown. They've got what? They've got any Chen creeps, Walrus Punch, and Snowball.
We have 3 cores with no stun, so a little bit of a rough situation there.
So Evil Geniuses. It is enough to force the Weaver back, and the more important idea here for Evil Geniuses is just to take towers, take map control. You may not be able to keep the Weaver down, but you can at least try and shorten the length of this game.
And with that lack of stuns too, we haven't talked about it too much, but like Sam H, he doesn't have a lot of threats. I mean, that last time they abandoned him just down bottom because that chase it's rough. If Tusk isn't there, it's a freebie. You're just getting out of there, essentially. He can definitely outrun any sort of Chen creeps. And he now does have that blink, so he found the space to get the drums. I like that. He saw that the pressure, like we already lost those towers. I can't stop that, and we're finding a way to actually outmaneuver EG right now. They're not getting that pressure that they probably need to stop me from doing this, so nice and survival with the drums. Now the blink dagger, and can try and pick off a key target here. As he said before, though, Sumail, he would actually be an okay target at this point because he's nice and juicy. He's got the most farm on the side of EG, but can't burst him down too easily in the lasso. Try and lasso somebody else. He's going to aphotic shield them. That Abaddon guy is quite annoying.
Hey, considering I thought he was going to have his Radiance pretty early. 18 minutes in, still has not been able to pick up the Relic.
Yeah, I guess he did die that one time too, and then he got pushed off the lane a couple times. He bought the bottle and the drums, so quite a bit of build-up items, but overall, maybe could have been a little bit faster with how much space there was.
Oh, they're going to go straight for Roshan here with all the Chen creeps. I guess why not? They're going to challenge TNC to stop them here at the Roshan pit. They've already seen Weavers aggressively pushing down to that bottom tier 2.
Yeah, interesting call here, and they're pretty close to the Arteezy Desolator as well. But I think they feel like how fast they took down that tier 2 up top. They're just like, okay, like with drums, we destroy everything right now. So it's super tempting. They pull everyone back. It's a scary fight. There's a Clockwork. There's a Warlock. They would love to get a smoke and a pick off, but at least this is a lot of information. I mean, they all just responded.
Yeah. They forced the Weaver away from that push at the bottom lane. Now they are going to go for a smoke here with the Blink Dagger. This could be a huge opportunity for TNC. See who they can grab. It's going to be the Tusk first up. That's going to be an easy kill. Grit. Oh, they're actually going to go for more here. Tim snags up Sumail, gets him inside of the cogs. Now they're going to poke at him bit by bit, but not really fully committing, especially with Arteezy coming in from the left-hand side. They give up on that engagement. Feel like that's really good discipline from TNC, hearing that buyback from the Tusk and calling quits on the team fight. Oh, and they just managed to pop Sumail's ultimate.
Man, that buyback actually really hurts Crit too, because if they have the Blink Dagger on the Tusk too, then you're worried about Aphotic Shield, and you're worried about this Blink Snowball, and he was at 1100 or so when he died, and then he bought back, so now he's down to 550. And when you're a Tusk, that is a hell of a lot of gold.
And the net worth lead is actually trickled down to only 3,000 lead for Evil Geniuses. And again, we got to reiterate that this is a lineup that Evil Geniuses has chosen that needs to do well in the early game, that needs to have a dominant 5K, 10K sort of lead to make sure that SF and Weaver are not able to stall out the game long enough to become
little
big
play
carries.
up here. They're doing an Infest Bomb play with the Snowball.
Oh, but that is going to be a beautiful setup of cogs. Tim's going to go for the TP out. Unfortunately, it looks like... Oh! Okay, never mind. Fortunately, he was able to get out. It forced the TP back, though. And EG are going to try and think about doing Roshan again off of this.
Still golems.
They still have hookshot, too. I can't imagine this is a great idea. Evil Geniuses, they're not finding the crack in TNC's armor right now. They're not finding that one really reliable pick-off that allows them to take Roshan for free.
During this time frame, though, the farm speed of TNC has also slowed down by quite a bit. You would think that with how much EG are just like clustered around the Roche pit, that maybe they'd be getting some net worth advantage on the side of TNC. And they're starting a little bit, but considering the kills and everything like that, it's still EG favored. It's just dwindled a little bit down to around the 4K mark, just high threes. And Raven's going to try and fix that by heading back down the bottom lane and going from his Hurricane Pike into the Deso next.
Take a look back again at that replay. Tim's playing that pretty well, getting the cogs just at the right time as the snowball hits him.
Yeah, so close. I was going to chunk right through him at the end there. Well, at the very least, Crit does have the 90 GPM talent rather than the 40% XP. There's some downsides to that thing, man. You know, you run into this like crazy death spawns. You know, it takes forever. You're like, I'm a support. I die so fast, and I also take so long to come back in. Levels don't really make you that much more tanky.
Yeah.
And then if that Blink Dagger is just so important this game, it can be nice to have the 90 GPM.
Yeah, certainly.
His partner not going to do the same, though. Misery wants that 35% XP.
It's like buying tomes on like Clockwork and stuff, and you're like support clock. Oftentimes your whole concept is just like initiating and dying, right?
Yep.
Higher level you are.
There's a reason Blade Mail is quite good on him.
Yeah. Much like Matumba Man's Viper build.
Dude, that guy knows how to die.
He really does. He has a very intimate understanding with death. Long jump away there from Tim's. Good use of the hook shot to grab onto the neutrals.
Overall, we've discussed a lot about, you know, stuns, but the chase overall as well from EG, pretty weak, and we just hit 15 on Cuckoo, who now has that 40 movement speed. So he's just all over the place. Plus, you're dealing with a Weaver. Now it's like 2 Weaver-ish cores. They both have 4 staffs, 1 Hurricane Pike, 1 4 staff. And it's just, how are you ever going to lock these guys down and kill them now? It's basically all on crit. So that Blink Dagger again, coming back into the fold.
Crit is going to relieve Sumail here. He's trying to put a stop to Raven's push, but honestly, the hero is just too tough to deal with in these long periods of laning where he's just able to poke at you and burn more and more of your mana.
Yeah, very irritating, especially for Sumail. Like, every bit of mana is so important for him.
Did you see the Aghanims build coming out from the SF?
Oh, is he opting into it?
Yeah, he had it queued up.
Okay, he's thinking about it. I like it. Looks like he finishes Hurricane Pike first,
Hurricane
but
Pike. That's
Aghanims
definitely needed
this
against Lifestealer, Madden, these kind of heroes that just like to get on top of you.
Especially
get over the ice shards as well.
If you can pinpoint the weakness of a draft, or you can like pinpoint like why you're winning fights, or like, you know, sometimes you see a team like, oh my god, guys, I just realized they have like all magic damage, and everyone just buys a hood or a pipe or something, and the game just feels over. This game, the catch, you know, it's just not there. If we could just get tons of 4 staffs, lots of Hurricane Pikes, this game's gonna feel very good for us on the Dire side.
Maybe I'm going crazy. Maybe he was clicked on Viper at the time. Because I saw, you know, Viper's obviously going to go in Aghanim Scepter, right?
It's the new, well, new-ish, I guess. It's been done for a while now. This whole magic-y Viper, you get your spell steal going on.
Yeah.
And we're already right back into it. Arteezy, stretch it out. Head back in.
I was about to say, I don't think Arteezy's the one who needs to stretch out. You see how Sumail looked so sleepy here?
Yeah, we were mocking them a little bit during the draft screen. Not gonna lie. TNC looked so fresh. Like, unbelievably fresh. Yeah. You know,
maybe that's why they picked him a bad, and he just, like, chills out in his lane, you know? He doesn't have to really think about too much.
I can't play any other hero right now, guys. Like, just give me a bad.
I just need to play something without a brain.
I'm just going to build Radiance and just kind of stand in these fights. And speaking of fights, Arteezy 0, 1, and 0, if I'm not mistaken here. Yeah, not too involved in the lifestealer, but again, that comes back to the cores, his allies, what sort of heroes he has to try and enable him as a lifestealer. To try and get those early infest kills to try and accelerate your farm. Plus, he went straight from the armlet into the Deso. No, like, middle ground item or anything. They kind of stopped getting towers. Everything just kind of stalled out for EG at that point. They have held the lead, but it is dwindling. And again, we try and make this play.
Mass TPs coming into the Shrine. Evil Genius is certainly not going to kill this fast enough. TNC will not have the chance for a rebuttal here. Attempted blink in. Sam H thinks better of it, though. Now the Warlock Golem's going to drop as Tims goes for the hookshot initiation, goes for the back line, managed to grab both of the supports at the same time. Sumail is already low enough. He has to pop his ultimate. This is going to be a long fight. They have to be able to target appropriately. Cuckoo plays a little bit to the side. Let's loose that ultimate. All slowed down by that Warlock ultimate. It is actually just destroying them. They can't get away from Cuckoo fast enough. Crit's going to be the first one down. Raven's just weaving in and out of this team fight, going for Sumail. Force forward, finishes him off, managed to get the time lapse off as well, goes through Arteezy. Arteezy is struggling to be able to get a lock hold on anybody here. They are all just too damn fast. Cuckoo's got that extra movement speed. Fear can slow him down, though, with a break already onto him. The magic damage looks like they should be able to get this kill. Arteezy, woo! dodges that raise ever so barely, but he's got to worry about Raven still looking for that kill. Armlet Toggle will keep Arteezy alive. Raven thinking about poking at him some more, but they've got a Shrine to activate. That was not a bad fight for TNC. But I also have to think it wasn't good enough considering the commitment. They dropped the Golem for that fight.
Yeah, much like the last fight, it ends up just being pretty even gold, pretty even experience, and that's going to favor TNC. You know, the more we go, it's just, it feels better and better for them. It feels like they're just having too many problems inside of EG dealing with these heroes. They can't secure this Roche. Objectives are failing over and over, whereas the objective for TNC right now is basically just stay alive, survive, don't let them take too much strength away from us.
Unless Evil Geniuses just go right back down to the pit, right? Because we've got no SL full.
That's true.
We've got no Golem.
There is Hookshot and Lasso back,
and
though.
1437 is already dead, so...
It's okay, he's useless anyway. He's got no ulti. It's fine. He's just delaying.
I mean, have you seen that slow, though? That slow is actually
fantastic.
destroying these team fights. Looks like Evil Geniuses is going to be able to get this Roshan pit. So, last team fight, things come to a bit of a climax. It ends up being a bit of a tie, but at the end of the day, Evil Geniuses have the advantage to just go Roshan again with a bit lower cooldowns on all of their heroes.
That's a tough call to make, too. When you, like, kind of come out even in a fight like that, and it's a little bit scary, and it's like, okay, no, we have to, like, go back and we can finish this Roche. Nothing's going to go bad. But there could have been, like, a bad steal or something like that. They don't have the best counters up against that. However, their decent vision up around that high ground area, they've been preparing for this for obviously quite a long time, was able to make sure that Samage was very unlikely to get in there.
We haven't talked too much about Raven and his progression item so far, but he does have that Desolator, and it looks like they may have a kill here onto Crit. Good positioning there. Managed to make the instant stun from the Cogs onto Crit, but it looks like it may not be enough. They actually have to TP out on Tims, and Raven, well, they have so little stuns that I can't imagine he's really in any fear of death.
Guys, I sent the Tusk home. We actually have no stuns left. Okay, thank you. You're going to have to let him go.
He does have the Blink Dagger now, though, so maybe... I don't know, man. They just can't
How
possibly...
much does this Aegis change, I guess is the question. Does it change that much?
That's a good question, because Arteezy doesn't really seem to be the one dying early in these fights. I'm not sure how threatened he really is.
It almost feels like a false confidence. Like, it feels like they could have just done this before anyway.
Yeah,
I don't know.
sure.
It looks easier from our perspective, I suppose, but...
And TNC, from TNC's perspective, I think they're willing to let go of a tower, like a tier 1, if they can go
Yeah,
tier
and they're
2.
just trading. Like, things are looking good in the mid lane. Now they're going to get in the top lane, too. Is Deso on Raven to match the one on Arteezy, and they're TPing back to the bottom lane,
yeah,
too. They
they've already
chase.
made the initiation of the bottom lane. They actually want to be able to get this pick off. They know Evil Genius is a bit separated, and Chen is just not the kind of hero that can get himself out of a team fight very quickly, so they are going to be able to catch him.
He did get the send home on Arteezy, though, so he's able to bail him out, make sure that wouldn't be an issue.
But hell, they almost got an extra hero worth of gold off of all those Chen creeps.
Yeah, that's true. Can't forget those guys.
And now TNC is actually up less than 1K.
That'll be the first time in this whole game that they have taken the lead.
Look at
Peaking
this.
at about 5.5K, but coming right back down. That looks like Genting, I would say. Those are the highlands up there. That's where we're heading later. EG looks like they're ready to leave. They went down the mountain, so that's what happens.
They're done with this tournament. See you later.
Well, Sam H, this is familiar territory. He's just running around the bottom lane.
Oh, snowball punch.
Can they kill this guy?
We're going to try. We're going to try. They came close.
All right, this game's over. This game's done. This is a Weaver. They have missed the time where he is killable.
Their extent of stuns comes down to like 2 seconds.
Hope 90 GPM can get a scythe.
Man, they really got to get an Abyssal Blade or something. Oh, Warlock Golem going to be dropped here. Arteezy pops the Rage. They're still going to be stuck underneath this slow. Sumail's trying to help him out as well. Trying to kill the Golem. So Golem used there. Nothing really lost there from Evil Geniuses.
Okay,
This may be a good opportunity for them to take another objective here. And honestly, TNC is not that heavily split pushed out the map. They just got that bottom lane going in, but top lane is pretty to the favor of EG. So if they can kind of collect things at bottom, they may have an opportunity to force a decent objective fight against TNC. We'll see if they take it, though.
Yeah, they are still difficult fights for TNC when they're set and postured like this from EG. We talked about the difficulties of the lasso. They don't feel very good. It's kind of Raven who's to create that chaos, split them up, and then you can look for that from Sam H. You need to find somebody who can't be saved by the shield or the snowball now.
Ooh, okay. He's going to try and grab Misery here. Misery just goes for the TP out. Oh, he
Meanwhile,
actually has the
that's
Dual
easy.
Scepter, but Cuckoo does have the BKB hook shot through all these heroes. Walrus Punch is going to slow down that ultimate, and Cuckoo's just not going to be able to get anything off. The physical damage is too much for him to handle. Misery ends up going down at the bottom lane. Batrider finishes him off, but Arteezy drops a little low. Raven, though, doesn't want to make a commitment, even though they don't really have the lockdown for him. He can't actually kill anybody, especially since Arteezy has the Aegis. It may not be worth the risk.
That's what they needed, though, from EG, right? They have to focus Cuckoo. Just get this guy down as they can. And finally, he presented that opportunity. They've been very good about having Raven on this front line and kind of absorbing a lot of the spells that way and then still surviving, kind of baiting them into, like, casting everything on him, and then Cuckoo comes in for the cleanup. But this time, actually getting Cuckoo, they're going to need a lot of fights like that. But at least they got it.
So, Samael, like, we've got little twists here in the items in this game. I think it's kind of interesting. Samael having problems with the slow, right? Picks up the Blink Dagger. Batrider is going to have some problems, though, with the Snowball. Walrus Punch, that should be enough to kill him. And then the other one, right, is instead of, like, the Desolator pickup on this Weaver to really make sure that as a split push function as well as just better direct physical damage. A lot better than the Diffusal Blade.
Yeah, not very common these days, but working out here. And yeah, so Sumail is just eyeing up that idea of just like the sight too, right? Because like that's they can feel it. They know what's happening with this Raven guy, but getting Cuckoo, that was what really mattered. And knocking down that Batrider. Making the siege pretty good. He's the big defender. Golem not up for another 25 seconds. EG have found their moment.
Certainly have. They'll take the tier 3, back out, opening up shrines. See if they can take the Roshan Shrine as well.
Yeah, that's the dream. This is like our whole game plan over the next 10 minutes now begins focusing on that whole northern area of the map. We're going to start looking for the vision from EG. We wanted them to keep scouting out the pit. They have Chen creeps. That's very easy to do. And then we eliminate the shrine. And then from there, the play starts to come down to things like this Batrider and what he can really get done. Sandwich is a very hard game. There's a reason he's just split pushing nonstop because honestly, his combat efforts aren't that effective. It's going to be a rough one.
Shiva's pickup is going to be next on the plate for Fear. And we also have the level 20 race picked up for Cuckoo, so that's a significant upgrade. Trent, talk to me a little bit about what do you think TNC needs to do, because they're a little bit on the cusp right now of maybe losing the next Roshan fight, then you're going to lose the lane of Rags, and the game starts looking really dark really quick.
Yeah, it's starting to look like they mostly need some save plays to come out onto the SF. Like, they need to prioritize him maybe a little bit more in those fights, so I'm looking for things like the clockwork to be like maybe waiting for them to jump the SF from the raiding side and then getting that hook shot in, maybe force staffing the SF, the second force staff, the third force staff, things like that. Extra mobility, and we just need crazy damage out of Raven. Like, he's just eyeing up a Bloodthorn next. He has no reason to go defensive. So I think if he gets to that state, then things are going to look very good for them.
Which, if he does go to this build, there may be that window where the Scythe of Ice arises him.
Yeah.
Man, what a dream Weaver game where you don't have to go Linken's.
Oh, the Blink Infest, though.
Oh, Cuckoo. He's going to be forced to pop the BKB, but he can't actually TP out. He's going to let loose the ultimate. There goes the Walrus Punch, but he has no more HP after he stopped. No opportunity to recast that ultimate, no opportunity to TP out. We saw that in last team fight as well. This Tusk is actually proving to be very, very effective against the SF. Looks like, as a result, though, Raven almost takes that tier 2. Honestly, if I was Samael, I'd just deny it at this point. But
I'm thinking they were mistaken as to where EG were. I'm guessing they must have thought EG was playing north right there or something, and that's where they were smoking, because there's no way Cuckoo should like be down here. This is where Batrider should be playing. This is where Raven should be playing, because they can just Shikuchi away or Force Staff and Firefly away from that snowball initiation, or like even like these blink plays are way less likely, and if they do get the kill, it doesn't feel quite as bad if it's someone like the Batrider. So it's maybe a little bit of an error there. And oh yeah, Sammy's just flying past the ward. Does fine now though. He has that gem.
Everybody's trying to get an answer to the Weaver. Rod of Atos on the docket there for the Chen. Basher is now here for the Lifestealer, so Lifestealer, if he can get a little lucky, may be able to get a kill on the Weaver. They need that just extra little bit of disable, because they've come close. They've brought the Weaver down to like 20% off of just the Tusk Infest combo.
Yeah, we haven't even discussed, I guess, the pushing options overall from Raven, too. Like, if they can keep up the split push and they can force EG back this way and delay that, like, the dream goal for TNC is putting pressure on these buildings so that EG are forced back, and then we swing it. We take that Roche. For now, though, still not up, but yes, those Chen creeps, they're keeping an eye. The Flares, they're keeping an eye. Everyone wondering when it will be time to head over there and have their big battle of the game. Likely the one to decide it.
TNC actually positioning 4 heroes behind Raven's push at the bottom lane. And they're going to sweep through, maybe go through mid?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind that. kind of expecting that some people will be farming up there away from like the possibilities of the bottom lane.
Yeah, they show Cuckoo. They think Evil Genius is going to go for that kill again, and we're going to meet them. And they may not be too wrong. Evil Genius is going to start grouping up here.
Dire scanning the Ancients, thinking someone over there. Okay, no, nobody there. Where'd they go? And instead it might just be a grab on the tower. Yeah, as you said, extremely low. Like 73 HP left in that tier 2.
Yeah, I bet Weaver could just go backdoor, right? One hit with the Geminate attack.
Won't be today, apparently. So all of EG has now clustered down bottom. Unable to check that high ground, though, as their sentry's about to vanish with that ward up there. So that'll be a nice little victory for the side TNC. Keep some ideas what they're up to, but that movement that they just went for, all completely scouted. So it looks like RTZ also scribbling all over the map, pointing out exactly where the dire side are. So both teams have a very good understanding of what the other one's up to, and so they can just abuse that time, get a little bit of farm going for themselves, try and move into those next items.
Evil Geniuses. This time it's their turn to push into TNC's side of the map. Take away those shrines, take away that last tier 2. And we are getting, I think Roshan is up. So we're getting to that.
Just about, yeah.
That was a Chen creep. Misery fooled me.
There it is. But the scythe is done, though. So they're going to see that with the flare, assumably pinged out there. Ooh, and they do smoke instantly.
Blink Scythe, that could be really tough for
that
the
can
SF
just be game
and
winning.
the Weaver to deal with.
Especially when you're blinking with a Tusk like this with the Lifestealer, and then like everyone collapses on that, right? Yeah. When he like bursts out, and then Sumail can kind of spot exactly what he wants. The second Raven starts to lay into him, he's going to blink and scythe him right away. But then the question is, what's the follow-up from the scythe? Because again, if the Tusk isn't there, if he's not layering with everyone, I'm not even sure it's going to make that much of a difference. It'll be almost just like a damage delaying factor in the engagement. But Flare comes out, they are scouted, and we return to the epic battle that is over. Poor Roche.
I was about to say, that's a quick epic battle there, Trent. EG.
That was the sequel. They're never as good. That one was terrible. My god, the first fight was much better. That went on for hours.
Well, let's hope we get a third installation of this series.
EG certainly hoping that won't be the case, because this is their time to shine. Cheese on the Viper. If Fear wasn't already annoying enough to deal with. By the way, 9-2-6 on Fear. Gonna give a little shout out. You know, he's been having some rough days where he just had to play DP and the DK over and over. Didn't feel too good. But now he was playing on the Lycan, doing fantastic, playing very aggressive, getting a lot of work done. And in these fights, maybe not the most aggressive, but he's playing cleanup. He's sniping everyone as they go down. He's not dying too often. So it's looking pretty good on this one. He has taken over that net worth lead too.
Damn, that was fast. He already has the Lincolns on Raven. Oh, they're going to go for the grab here, but there is the Aphotic Shield to be able to stop that lasso. Forstaff gets Tims out of a nasty hole that he was in with those cogs. With the Golem being dropped, they're immediately going to focus down the Golem, take it out, but RTZ still stuck inside those cogs, still taking a lot of damage when they had to get the Infest out. Now Cuckoo lets loose the ultimate. Sumail's forced to pop it on the front lines, but he's going to be Yule Scepter, and he's going to be low, but he immediately blinks out. That's where that Blink Dagger comes into play.
If they're all surviving through those ultimates, though, EG feeling a lot better about the situation.
Yeah, certainly. Golem, no SF ulti. Evil Geniuses just need to kind of heal up again. They can go right back in like 30 seconds. They'll have pretty much all their ultimates up.
This is almost like that pressure smoke moment if you're TNC, where you want to like go out or something and try and get some kill when they like spread up. But EG not going to give that opportunity. Plus, they don't really have anything in the tank left to do it, right? They did use the hook shot. They did use the lasso. Hook shot will be back in 10 seconds. Same with the lasso.
Poking at RTZ. Remember, he does have that extra life with the Aegis. Cuckoo actually blinking forward there is already taking damage, kind of putting himself on the front lines here. Goes down to about half HP, but Evil Genius is a bit nervous there, especially with the Fatal Bonds on them. Not wanting to fully commit to a fight just yet. Sumail's going to make the Infest Bomb opportunity with the Scythe of Ice, but they have the defensive force staff to be able to open things up. Nice hook shot in from Tims. It may cost him his life, but he gets a good cog situation, but TNC are not able to take advantage of that because they blasted off Sumail, pulled him back to the tier 4s, managed to get the pick up. What the hell? He managed to get the deny off of all that damage. Unbelievable, but they're completely slowed down. They may have lost the racks, but maybe TNC can still win the fight. They're slowed down, but they need more HP on Cuckoo, so he has to go back. Raven is trying to lay out more damage. Man, RTZ drops so low too. But he's armlet toggling his way to safety. Cuckoo comes forward with the Blink Dagger. Immediately pops the cheese on Fear, so he's going to be good. He was positioning himself to make sure that TNC, if they push forward, they'd end up having to go through the Viper first.
Oh, that ward spotting Raven, so he'll have to back away, and that means he can't pop that Aegis, so they're actually still going to have that for a long time. Another 2 minutes or so here, which is pretty damn good for EG. And they were successful in taking their melee racks, so now a 9k lead. Maybe came a bit later than EG might have been expecting, but they have finally made their way into the high ground. However, the whole idea of the split push and everything still remains for TNC. There's a chance that that won't be enough.
It always does feel like Evil Geniuses makes these kind of a little bit more aggressive lineups their own in the way that they are willing to slow down the pace, where other teams are trying to pick it up at 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Evil Geniuses, they don't get impatient, right? If the enemy team does not offer them opportunities like this one on Chen, then they just don't bite, right? They don't force it.
Oh, crit. Again with that ward. He spots the Warlock and he's like, it's not even worth it. Let's go kill somebody else.
Cuckoo forced to pop a BKB here. And the Chen pickup was not the biggest one in the world. In fact, I would almost say the BKB may be more important than a Chen. Jump in onto Sandmage, snowball forward onto him. He's got the Ult Scepter, and they're going to try and buy him time here with the golem being dropped. He was able to blink out, but Tim's is fully committed here. Arteezy's trying to get himself out of those cogs, trying to deal with the bug right now. He's trying to take it out, but there goes that Aegis. Raven, he was also trying to deal with Fear and Sumail in that high ground area. But they've taken the Aegis, and they should just be happy with that, honestly. But Evil Geniuses, they're going to look at this and say, Golem's down again.
Yeah, how much are they willing to risk? In terms of being close to items right now, they just got that fresh Abyssal on Arteezy, so they might be pretty happy going for a fight. Misery's going to be back up. Even if they make some push in, he'll still be able to ulti, of course, from global range. So he's going to be running around just trying to find his creeps for a bit anyway.
Boots of travel for our Bat Rider. That seems much needed. TNC, I think the last thing they want is to be forced into a 5-man defense of their own basic hand. But this is the combination with the Abyssal Blade. It gives them the extra stun duration. They will manage to bring down the Weaver. Oh, and they just hit another big peak to the plus 250 aphotic shield on the Abaddon. That is
Some
tough
say,
to beat.
The best talent in the game, I've heard people claim.
Yeah.
Can't blame him. 450 absorbed.
Yeah, just a bad bounce back. It makes a good split pushing tool, makes a great team fighting tool. Incredible save, incredible damage. All on top of the fact that he also has a blink and scythe, which makes him an initiator. This kind of build, that bans pretty much everything for you.
I like it. They needed that too, though, because it was a bit of an awkward, feeling mid-game there. But they identified their issue. They fixed it. A couple different item choices.
Man, how many other teams would have panicked against this Weaver, and been like, oh god, guys, we don't have the disables.
And they
we need to try and end this game now, right? And
they're
EG's like, nah, we got this. We'll just itemize towards the late game.
Talents have changed a lot of that too, where people feel way more comfortable in these situations because of those changes that happen to heroes.
Cuckoo dodging the Viper Strike here from Fear. Ethereal Blade put on Arteezy.
Chen hooks there to block the hooks. Just trying to get in the way.
Yeah. So they will manage to take that tier 3 right as Raven is about to come back to life. A 13,000 gold lead right now for Evil Geniuses, 21-15 to their favor.
TNC if they want to stop dancing on their base.
Man, Pimp really is the best observer.
I know.
Every single time the game locks up,
I've reconnected too. Hello.
Welcome back to the game, Trent.
Glad to be here.
You're glad to be here at ESL One Genting.
Raven heading his way down bottom. And we're just chilling. Everyone's just relaxing. Just waiting their inevitable death, perhaps. Is it an inevitable death for TNC?
I don't want to think so.
It's hard to tell.
But it's hard to see with the way that the trajectory of the game and the way Evil Geniuses has managed to win a lot of these later team fights.
If I want to win this game, if I look at this, just like the pure heroes on TNC, I feel like Bat Rider has to do so much. And ooh,
missed hook shot.
No, this looks
like they'll
familiar.
still get the Chen though.
The old E-blade on Chen.
Oh, they're actually going to try and fight this one with Sumail, making the initiation forward. Cuckoo pops a BKB and lets loose that ultimate. They've already lost the Warlock, but that's okay as long as they keep their damage deals alive. Looks like Tim's going to have too much trouble with that Viper Strike. 2 of the supports down, but the cores are going to be able to get away. Fortunately, Cuckoo was able to blink in time. Raven tries to cut the creep wave.
Yeah, they got a few with him now, though.
Unfortunately, it's not enough. Evil Geniuses have creeps inside the base, and they're immediately going to go for that top melee racks. But maybe they've gone a little too far. Nah, Samael's got the Blink Dagger. He's able to stop that lasso, and Arteezy really hasn't taken that much damage. Samael, he's going to be targeted instead, hoping to be able to pop his ultimate. But, oh no, Fear's right on top of Cuckoo. They're going to be able to bring him down. Immediately goes for the buyback, but he's not going to have a lot of those souls. He may not be that effective, so it's up to Raven to be able to finish off Samael here, but the Aphotic Shield, it's just tanking up way too much damage. He's trying desperately to finish him up, and another Aphotic Shield's going to come up. He's chasing outside of the base while his team is dying just to try and get this one kill. He's got another Aphotic Shield. It's just not going to happen. Give up on it, Raven. Try and get someone else, and that's going to be Fear. He's going to be low one. Cuckoo going for it. BKB pop. Managed to finish off one of the cores of Evil Geniuses. Go next. Arteezy. He's the next target. He's got Rage down. Goes for the Infest. Yeah, it goes for the Infest.
Samael's got his ulti back in 3. He's almost ready to head back in here.
Oh, is he really thinking about it here? He's going to try and pop that Linken's. Open up the opportunity for disables onto the Weaver. Enough for Arteezy to pop out. Finish him off. Cuckoo is up next. Fortunately, Cogs, good play by Tims, snags Arteezy, so he couldn't pursue that SF. Another buyback forced out of TNC, but they will stay alive.
Yep. Fear, excellent job. He's finding these moments like that's only his 3rd death of the game, and yet he's playing so aggressive. 3 buybacks used. Yeah, as Pim's highlighting here, things looking very desperate here for TNC, but they got the melee racks again there, and it's all because Fear. He's just like positioning himself in between the melee racks and the fountain, and there's like 3 heroes around him, and they're hitting into him, but he's just so tanky, and Arteezy's able to just wail away on those buildings for the victory.
Oh boy. He's got Octarine now.
Oh my god.
So we were watching like Raven trying to deal damage into Samael. He was getting in like 1 hit on his actual HP pool between every Aphotic Shield. Now it feels like he actually doesn't do enough damage to stop the Aphotic Shield and how much it's going to be able to tank now that it's only down to 4.5 second cooldown.
And that 25% lifesteal also going to be quite nice with his current build. So yeah, it does seem we will find 3rd Roche here. And not really a game where 3rd Roche is going to do too much for the... I guess there's a chance, there's some Warlock fight you might win, but it's only going to be 1 fight, honestly, if you end up winning something. There's no Shaman here, there's no, like, Hail Mary, like, okay, maybe we can actually pull this one out of the bag somehow with the Shard.
I mean, they gotta fight around Roshan, right?
This feels a lot better than the high ground.
This is a necessity. So TNC start positioning themselves.
Tornado's already scouting them out.
They really got to get in there already. Samael's jump forward is going to be able to spook. 1437, they just burst him down with the magic damage now. He didn't have the golem anyway. So TNC, not a huge loss there, but they can't afford to lose Cuckoo here, who's already popped the Shadow Blade, trying to get away. Good use of the 4 staffs, and he will manage to make it just ahead of Samael. Raven is going to be forcing the time lapse as well. So Roshan is still alive. Evil Geniuses will go back from whence they came.
And look at this vision, too. They see Tims, everything he's doing up here. He's slowly moving across, and he's got the empty slot. He's thinking things about this Aegis, maybe the Shard. He's quite wrong, though.
You couldn't be more right, Trent, and he could not be more wrong. Just goes in the jungle, finds his death, but honestly, TNC needed to make some sort of extreme YOLO play. He needed to be able to make that ultimate hook shot in, grab the Aegis, grab the Refresher Shard. Instead, it's going to be Raven who's going to be forced to try and create some space. He's going to go for that bottom lane push, hoping that he can somehow stop the flood of Evil Geniuses running over the TNC base.
Well, it's a hell of a Hail Mary, but there's only so much you can do. We'll see how it all plays out. Perhaps there's a chance you can win 27k down.
It's a flying pig? Would you say?
They do say when pigs fly, so maybe TNC are going to win, actually. Wow, okay, we figured it out.
Cuckoo on the back line with a double damage BKB pop, but the Walrus Punch stalls him up long enough for the Abyssal Blade to be there, and Golem buys him a little bit of time, forces that forward. No, the magic damage comes in, Mistcoil finishes him off. Fear jumps forward, managed to grab 1437, stopping him from channeling that slow, and they take the Weaver down too, so that's it. Evil Geniuses will take game number 1 at 48 minutes in.
Yeah, very impressive stuff coming out from them.
They really just took full mid-game control of this game. The fact that we're looking at this, and we probably could have said, hey, past 40 minutes, that's when TNC is going to start winning. But Evil Geniuses, they just grew and grew more and more of a lead and itemized really well. I would say the itemization was probably rarely one of the defining things of the game, but I feel like Evil Geniuses here, it was the winning factor for them.
Yeah, and then the whole core part of TNC, they just did so much to take away a lot of what that Batrider could do. We were so excited about the Weaver, and we pointed out numerous times how good this game looked for Weaver, for good reasons. There wasn't a lot of control, not much they could do, but then there was also this Batrider who was struggling the same way up against EG. He has to deal with these snowballs, he deals with these aphotic shields. He never had that lasso in a team fight that did anything. It was only like pick-off plays and everything. So, it just, in the end, EG, they stayed patient, and they rode one to victory.
All right, well, our panel was decisive and wrong.
As we usually are.
And now they've got to give excuses as to why they were wrong and what Evil Geniuses did to win this game 1. Back to the panel.
It's not often on these shows that I can honestly say the following words. I told you so. To both of our panel members who were unbelievably wrong, even though I gave them the heads up before we started that, and told them the criteria for winning for Evil Geniuses. Gents, come on. I gave you a clue here.
Pick worse, win better.
And you even, at the beginning, pointed to Tusk as the key hero, which he probably was in that game.
Yeah, I'm actually learning a lot about this game. It's taken me 5 years, but I'm finally starting to get something here.
You're going to get there, Red. I believe
so
in
in another 5 years, I should be able to get to 3K.
Well, you said
it's still a bit dodgy. I know.
You're going to last 5 years, Paul.
You're right. I was trying to be unrealistic there. I lost my head there for a moment. Let's talk about the game itself, though, because it was a strange game, wasn't it?
It was pretty bizarre. I thought that the beginning of the game, the skill and the itemization decisions by EG were really good. Sumail going 4 points in miscoil, being a little bit more of a threat in some of the little skirmish engagements than TNC obviously expected. Cuckoo had a few too many early deaths, which was really surprising. But in a macro sense, when you have a very cooldown reliant lineup, as TNC did, you're relying on the SF ulti, the SF having souls, you're relying on the Warlock ulti. You can't afford to see control of Roche Pit. And EG control of the Roche Pit from the beginning of the game really made it a lot harder than I felt it should have been for TNC to win.
I think for me, obviously we felt very good about TNC's draft. I look at their 3 cores and, like, why didn't these heroes work? And I think, look at the SF, he died too much. Cuckoo fed. Raven, he didn't carry. He had the perfect Weaver game, could do so much this game, and he didn't. And then Sam H, he was counterpicked. So 2 of your cores should have had a fantastic game. They didn't, and ultimately that really cost them. There were a lot of deaths from Cuckoo that were a bit silly, unnecessary. We saw that a bit yesterday as well. It just doesn't feel like he's on top of his game. And Raven, I feel like this was the TI Raven we've seen. He would have carried. He would have 1v5 this game if he needed to, because it was such a good Weaver game.
Yeah, that was the most disappointing fact, was that Weaver pick was great, wasn't it, at the end? And
On
then you look at
paper.
it and you think, oh, that's such a good pick, and then
Well,
it just didn't deliver.
But again, we talked about the fact that the first 2 days of the tournament had been very chalky, a lot of the favorites winning, but this is why they play the games. And really, it points to me to an ongoing problem that we've seen the last 3 drafts from TNC, that they've been heavily outpicked at the 3 positions specifically. Again, leaving the Omni, then not being able to deal with the Enigma. And here, the Sam H Batrider getting countered extremely hard, the Sumail Abaddon excelling throughout the game, including countering the Batrider. That's something that I think you really focus on in terms of your drafts going forward.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, actually, how much of the blame do you put on Steven for the last 3 games that he's drafted?
I think you really, despite being very confident in this draft, and I still think that you hide the 2 names of the teams, allow 10 different teams to play these 2 lineups. I still think TNC's drafts wins most of the time, but I do think Sam H in particular has got to be saying, hey, I'm a playmaker too. I know we got these 2 big cores, but I feel like I'm giving up a huge draft advantage at my particular position.
Yeah, tough game. Any positives for TNC?
They learned that they should probably ban Crit's Tusk, I think. He was the standout, carried EG through the early game. Kind of looked at EG's draft, and I remember talking to like Blitz, Fogged after. It's like, what do you think of this? EG draft looks pretty questionable, and they're like, yeah, like the only way they win this is if they crush the lanes and win the early game, and they did because of the Tusk. Like, he was everywhere, setting up a lot of kills, Cuckoo dying 4 or 5 times mid. So yeah, take away for TNC, ban Crit's Tusk. You can still perhaps give away the Chen, but take away that Tusk.
Yeah, he was having far too much fun in this game, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think even if you could go further and like just target Crit's Hero Pool, maybe ban Tusk as well as Earth Spirit, like really limit his ability to set up kills in the early game. It feels like he is finding so much in terms of his rotations every time he's playing these very high impact 4 roles.
Do you agree though that it was smart of TNC to focus Fear in the game and think that he had a relatively narrow pool in the modern mid era that he's playing mid now, and therefore that was the right decision to do in that first game?
I see. That's the thing. I think, again, given the information
sense,
that they had at the time, I thought that TNC strategy made sense.
Right.
I didn't think that the Viper pick was going to have as big as an impact as it did. Again, part of that was the decision of Fear to go second item Ags to complement that level 10 spell lifesteal talent, which made him feel very, very tanky in those fights. I don't think that you can second guess yourself too much as TNC, other than saying, hey, we need to be a little bit cleaner on our core role play. We need to play like we're capable of playing, and we need to prioritize that offlane position as we go through the drafts. By the way, for you mechanics nerds out there, it was actually Misery back when he played with Theban with LGD Int that kind of invented the Chen Shadow Fiend. Chen Shadow Demon strategy, where you send somebody back, you banish them, and the send back still goes off. I didn't know this, but in this game I learned you actually can't do that with a Tusk.
Right.
Tusk Snowball applies explicit spell immunity on top of the hidden and invulnerable statuses while you're in the Snowball. So if Chen sends somebody back and you get sucked into Snowball, the send back didn't go off.
Right.
Just a little cool thing for you mechanics nerds.
You're such a nerd, Alan.
I
love it.
Hey,
You're just learning. Paul.
For 20 years, I got paid for being a nerd. So
it's all good.
okay
We're all
with it.
nerds, though. It's fine. It's fine. Okay, we're going to head to a break right now. Of course, we've still got the second game to come. Best of 3 between these two teams. And presumably, if it goes according to form, then the next game, EG have an absolutely brilliant draft and lose. We'll be back with game 2 after the break.
Backline, man's grab both the supports at the same time. Sumail is already low enough. He has to pop his ultimate. It's going to be a long fight. They have to be able to target appropriately. Cuckoo plays a little bit to the side. Let's lose that ultimate.
Oh,
All
so
slowed down
slow.
by that Warlock ultimate. It is actually just destroying them. They can't get away from Cuckoo fast enough. Grid's going to be the first one down. Raven's just weaving in and out of this team fight. Going for Sumail. Force forward. Finishes him off. Managed to get the time lapse off as well. Goes through Arteezy. Arteezy is struggling to be able to get a lock hold on anybody here. They are all just too damn fast. Cuckoo's got that extra movement speed. Veer can slow him down though with a break already onto him. The magic damage looks like they should be able to get this kill. Arteezy